Was machst du hier? Du bist ein Cop? Ich bin nicht hier, um Sie festzunehmen. Naja, warum dann? Ich habe nur ein paar Fragen an Sie. Was für Fragen? Bladerunner 2049. Ryan Gosling's character has spent a great deal of time tracking down Harrison Ford's character, but Harrison Ford's character is extremely suspicious of outsiders. I like this exchange because there's a couple of things here in the German version that wouldn't work as literal English translations. First, we hear Ryan Gosling's character say, Ich habe nur ein paar Fragen an Sie. That's literally, I just have a few questions on you, which doesn't work in English. The preposition we would use in English is for. I just have a few questions for you. Or you could use the word which. I just have a few questions which I would like to ask you. Either of these would have worked in German here. Ich habe ein paar Fragen für Sie. Or, ich habe ein paar Fragen, die ich Ihnen stellen möchte. So what's the difference here? Ich habe ein paar Fragen an Sie is a neutral statement. Nothing in particular is being stressed. It just simply means I have a few questions for you. On the other hand, ich habe ein paar Fragen für Sie changes the meaning slightly to emphasize the recipient of the question, meaning these are questions that only specifically you can answer, or that I'm particularly interested in hearing specifically your responses to these questions as opposed to someone else's responses. Interestingly, either translation could have worked in the context of this scene between these two characters. Now let's look at Harrison Ford's character's response. Was für Fragen? This would literally translate into English as what for questions, which doesn't mean anything. Was für is a very common phrasing in German that means something more like what kind of. You can use this all over the place in German. Was für ein Mann bist du? What kind of man are you? Was für eine Person ist sie? What kind of person is she? Was für ein Auto ist das? What kind of car is that? So when Harrison Ford asks, was für Fragen, he's saying, what kind of questions? Let's skip to a different conversation in the same film. Ryan Gosling's character is searching a police DNA database for clues while his girlfriend watches. Milliarden Daten machen ein Menschen. A und C und T und G. Das ist ein Alphabet. Alles beruht auf 4 Symbolen. Ich habe nur 2. Die 1 und die 0. Halb so viele, aber doppelt so elegant, mein Schatz. Ich dachte, du stehst auf deiner Madam. Du hast gelauscht. I wish I could play the whole scene because it's really quite good, but let's zoom in and take a look at a couple of other German language oddities that can't be directly translated back to English. First, the girlfriend says, Ich dachte, du stehst auf deiner Madam, referring to Ryan Gosling's character's boss. This literally means, I thought you stood on your madam, which sounds very odd in English. Ich stehe auf dich is a bit of an odd German expression that means, I have a crush on you. So, ich dachte, du stehst auf deiner Madam would mean, I thought you had a crush on your boss, something she knows isn't actually true here. Ryan Gosling's character's response is du hast gelauscht, which is also kind of interesting. Gelauscht comes from the verb lauschen, which can mean to listen, similar to hören or zuhören, but lauschen can have an additional connotation similar to the word eavesdropping in English. Ryan Gosling's character is correctly accusing his girlfriend of having eavesdropped on his earlier conversation with his police lieutenant. One of the things I like about watching films that have been translated into German is that you never know when you're going to hear one of these little expressions in German that don't translate literally back to English. It's frustrating the first time you come across a new one because you may have to stop and look it up in order to understand it, but learning these little slang expressions can really help develop your own German and help you sound much more natural when you use one in a conversation. This is the difference between learning a language entirely from textbooks versus learning it the way it's actually spoken by people. That's all for today. We will see you next time on Learn German from TV.